Hello and welcome back to BookGames Spectator. I'm your host, Michael T, and today we're jumping back into our analysis of understanding the frame rarities in BookGames Spectator, BookGames as a whole. On the VFriends blog, they said the combination of 16 original artworks, 5 spectacular rarities, and 15 different frames creates a possible combination of 1,200 different BookGames rarity token types. Now it's time to learn all of these in terms of their combinatoric profiles so that we can best understand how to make sense of this marketplace. So as we start again, I always start off by checking on the listing time for most recently listed tokens in order to catch snipes. You can scrape the floor. You can look for misplaced value, or you can camp looking for sets. So this is where we're at in terms of the floor currently for BookGames. I'm kind of sad because the recently sold ones I missed out on, but we can get to that when we make our way through. So now we're still at 3 weeks and we're scrolling through and we're looking for value. In our most recent entry, we discussed this Tenacity Hologram Black in terms of its token frame, and we went through the order book of sold tokens in this context, and we cross-referenced it to Convictions and Hollows, Convictions and Gratitude Hollows, to see what's going on there. Whoa. This is an interesting shelf. Okay, we have a Tenacity Bubblegum Silver, and then we have this shelf of Curiosity Pearls going for $155. Whoa, I wish I caught this when it was happening. I would have picked this up. It would have been nice. Okay, so what do I see? And what are we working with? Let's take a look at this Curiosity. Whoa. 0.3, 0.4, 0.48, 0.035. Wow. That's market capitulation for you folks. But it's hard because some people need the money. Some people just feel like they can do better with the capital that they have access to rather than using it as a sunk cost. So let's take a look at this. How would we analyze these tokens? Well, first we would start with clearing our filters and going back to Curiosity. And then Curiosity Pearl. Wow, it seems like there are a lot of Curiosity Pearls. So scrolling up from the bottom, we can see this shelf that we saw from 3 weeks ago. Oh, and I really want this, not to talk my book too much, but I have my eye on curiosities. And so it's always like, burn this into your mind. How do you decide what do you want to go after based on your capital that you have access to? In my paper trading book, I have access to 0.232959 Ethereum. So that's what I have as my dry powder ammo to be able to deploy within the book games market from a paper trading perspective. And we need to figure out how to best spend that capital in terms of finding the value for our purchases. And we're trying to do this by getting up to speed on how we think about book games token rarities based on the token count supply sheet. So as we can see, for Curiosity, there are 4,689 in lava, 2,085 in gold, 3,126 in bubblegum, and 2,085 in diamond, and 1,043 in hollow. So for me, I would ignore these unless there's a really good frame in them, and I would focus on the hollow. But therein lies the distinction, right? What if you're not playing for Curiosity specifically? What if you're just playing for macro value? Then this 13,000 would make sense to factor that in. Maybe you want to go for a lower total count. Maybe you want to go for a kindness, or maybe you want to go for a gratitude or conviction. Actually, we should do a gratitude and conviction episode, because I truly think that if you have about $300 to spend, that it makes sense to go for gratitudes and convictions rather than anything else because of where the marketplace is at. So that's a little signpost there. There was some champagnes that went for under $500, yes, a few days ago. So we can highlight that. So I guess I'm still thinking through this. How would I describe this in terms of understanding it in the order book? You go through the order book and you're looking for the most recently listed. Refresh this, take a look. Okay, interesting. Most recently listed. And then most recently sold. And why are we looking at the most recently sold? Because we want to know what the market is pricing these tokens at, so we can better position ourselves to buy things of value. And in the inverse, this is later on in the series in our course where we get into selling book games tokens. I have to figure out how to do this from a paper trading perspective in the context of not having tokens in my wallet to be able to, right? Because it's like, if I own the token, then I can list it, versus if it's someone else's token and then I'm paper trading it as if I bought the token and then I'm listing the token. It gets kind of complicated because I can't control how somebody else lists the token. So now we're just sticking with this because this shelf here, is there anything there? And there was kindness in there. So this is standing out to me because the frames are pearl. So that means there's only 2%. We went through the frame rarity calculations, and I should probably go back through that and calculate that on paper to be able to add that up to figure out what that looks like. So I guess we'll continue from here, but just use this as a way to describe, okay, so from the beginning, what was, okay, 1.3, 0.7, I see a 0.7, but it's still 0.3, 0.4, okay, we're dipping into the 0.4 shelf, but I still see a 0.8, 0.3, 0.35 looks like the shelf, 0.6, 0.4, 0.4, 0.38, 0.38, 0.5, 0.4, 0.4, still 0.4, about halfway through. 0.5. This is interesting because it's giving us a sense of where this median is. This median, if you check back into our previous entries, it's different from when we were looking at the convictions and the hollows. So it gives you a sense of what... Oh, that's interesting. Okay, so wait. We would take a look at this and we would re-rack. And we would say, okay, so there's 4,000 in lava, 2,085 in gold and diamond, and then 3,000 in bubbles. So it goes lava, bubble, gold, diamond, lava, bubble, diamond, gold, and then hollow. So using that to factor that in, lava, gold, bubble, diamond, lava, bubble, gold, diamond, lava, bubble, diamond, gold, lava, bubble. Okay, so just looking through real quickly, trying to find out what stands out. See if I can catch a hollow. 1.2 for the hollow, 1.9 for the hollow. Lava, bubble, gold, diamond, lava, bubble, diamond, gold. Okay, it's moving too fast for me to see, but I see some of the hollows going for ones. 0.6. 0.9. So this was a great purchase right here. Yeah, and talk about market capitulation. Bought for 1.26730 Ethereum, sold for 0.035 Ethereum. Wow. So that's where we're going to leave things off for this episode. I hope you can find the insight into how I BookGames Spectate in terms of understanding your fundamental basis. This is just the beginning. This is when we start off. We start off by always double checking 3 things. First, the listing time. Second is the most recent listed or the most recent sold. And third is the price. So we can take a look at the floor. It's been a while since we dipped into the floor, so let's take a look. 0.022 Ethereum. That's the current full floor. Oh, can we see the floor up top? Oh yeah, you can see the floor up top. 0.22 Ethereum. And you would always take a look at the total capital that you have and then buttress that against the total access to tokens that you have in the order book. So for me, since I'm paper trading right now, I have 0.232959 Ethereum. That was purchased yesterday or this morning. August the 18th, 2025 at $1,000, purchased at a Ethereum price of $4,241.08 approximately. Well, no, exactly, and then the fees. 2.3. And then we would have transferred the tokens from our preferred exchange to MetaMask from MetaMask to Immutable X. Pause.